Okay, as you can obviously see, I'm not Korean. I'm from India, but this is my second time in Seoul. Before I came here, the only Korean I knew was Gangnam Style. But with a little help from my Cisco Korea colleagues, I've started to learn a few words. So if you'll indulge me, I'd like to try them on for you. All right? Is it okay? Okay, here goes. Maybe I'll do a little bit better than David. So let me know. 안녕하세요. Okay, now a difficult one. 전환하기입니다. All right? Was that okay? 감사합니다. All right. So, Carl, in his session earlier, covered the Cisco AI Readiness Index. And I'd like to zoom in on the data that he presented for Korea. Because what we're going to talk about today is about AI projects and how do we make them successful. And to be able to make them successful, we need to understand where can they go wrong. So this data is a great place to start. As you can see, in line with the global average, 98% of organizations in South Korea, which means, by the way, 98% of people in this room, all of you expressed urgency to deploy AI projects in your organization, and that urgency is only growing higher. However, only 3% of you expressed confidence that you are ready to integrate those AI projects into your organization. That's quite a paradox. At the same time, over 50% of you said that up to 30% of IT budgets are being dedicated to AI projects. At the same time, only 60% are actually seeing returns that are commensurate with that investment. 40% of you said that you're not seeing those returns in line with the investments. So what's going on here? There's something wrong. So in the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to cover three things. One, we're going to look at what a typical AI project in an enterprise can look like. And then we're going to analyze it. Second, we're going to analyze that AI project to identify the areas where you could have risks that could stop you from getting to the result that you need, your business outcome. And lastly, we will also cover how Cisco customer experience can allow you to mitigate those risks and get to your business outcomes faster. All right? So let's get started. Any typical AI project starts by the definition of a use case. It might sound very trivial, but it is the most important part of starting an AI project. When I meet customers, they meet me, they tell me, I want to use AI. When I ask them what for, they say, it's because my boss wants me to use AI. Right? It's a valid reason, no doubt. But you have to be very clear on what is the outcome you're looking for from that project. At the same time, you need to get executive sponsorship from your organization. Carl covered this as well. You need to go as high enough in the organization as needed, even to the board, to ensure that there is sponsorship for your AI project, to improve your chances of success. Next, you need to think about who is going to use that tool that you're building. What do they need? How can you make it easier for them to use it? And lastly, you need to think about your data. As most of you know, the quality of the data you use to feed the AI model is directly proportional to the outcome that you will get from that data model. Good data, good quality output. So it is very, very important that you look at your data and make sure you have the right kind of data, you have the right quantity of data to be able to train your model. So the next thing that you do is start to prepare the data, prep it, which means you have to clean it and you have to label it, make it ready for training. And the next step in the process is to select a model. This is where things start to get really interesting. Because if you're in the financial services industry and you want to deploy an AI model for high-speed trading, or if you're a bank and you want to use an AI model to detect frauds in your transactions, or let's say you're a manufacturing company that is trying to detect faults in a finished product, all of those are use cases for what we call as traditional machine learning or predictive AI models. However, if you're trying to build an AI assistant or a co-pilot for your customer service agents, or if you're trying to build a chatbot for your internal IT help desk for your employees, those are use cases for generative AI, what we now know as large language models, typically. Both of these are AI models, right? Types of AI models. However, they have very, very different requirements when it comes to the infrastructure. As you might know, training a new AI model from scratch takes a lot of resources. You need high-powered servers with GPUs, maybe lots of GPUs. You might need high-performance storage with high IOPS. And you will definitely need a very robust network, which is reliable, which has low latency and low loss. And you will need some time to make sure that your model can be trained. But if you're using a generative AI model, like a Llama or an OpenAI or all of those that you have in the market today, those typically come pre-trained with data from the internet. But they do not have the context of your environment or your organization. So for example, if I were to go to ChatGPT today and ask ChatGPT, how do I order a laptop for a new hire at Cisco? ChatGPT will not know that answer. You will have to give it that context, right? That is called fine-tuning. And fine-tuning a generative AI model requires a very different kind of infrastructure compared to training a predictive AI model from scratch. So you need to be very careful when you're getting into that step. Once you've done with training or fine-tuning your model, you're now ready to put it into production, develop the application on top, put it into production, get the people to start using it. And as you start to use your AI tool, you get output that you can feed back into the system to make sure your answers get better and better and better, your results get better and better. And throughout this process, you need to take care of what Carl stressed upon as well. Is your AI safe, secure, transparent, and ethical? What happens if I ask the AI a question like, what is my boss's salary? How should it respond? What if I ask it, what is the system administrator password for the email system? Should I be able to have access to that or not? These are the kind of things that you now start to think about whether your AI model is protected from or not. Okay? So as you can see, there are a lot of moving parts. There's complexity, there's multiple subsystems, things that you need to start to think about and take care of before you can get to that last step of putting your AI model into production. And even after that, you need to keep improving it, optimizing it, and so on. So there is risk all along the way that you need to think about how you want to mitigate. This risk stands between you and the outcome that you want from your AI tool. And let's take a deeper look at what that risk can be. The one at the top of the list is actually not a surprise. we are not able to, as a world, we are not able to generate engineers and skilled people as fast enough as we need, in the world. And so talent and skilling is a universal issue. How are you going to get that for your project? Second, you all saw how each AI project has multiple different components. Even starting with the infrastructure, how do you ensure that your infrastructure has been designed correctly for your tool, for your requirement? How do you ensure that there are no compatibility issues between the storage and the server and the GPUs? How can you fine-tune that environment for your training needs? That's what we call technical complexity. And as with every IT project, there is change involved. Any tool that you release into your organization will have an impact on existing processes. You have to train your users on how they can integrate this into their process. How will their process change? What should they be careful about? As an organization, how do you know you're moving in the right direction in achieving your business outcome? Have you been able to define the right kind of metrics or not? These are all things that fall under change management. And when it comes to operating that environment, what happens if you have downtime? Does it cause only loss of productivity? Or does it impact a critical operation in your organization that can lead to loss of revenue and even loss of reputation? How do you get around that? How do you fix that as soon as possible? And lastly, and I can't stress this enough, AI brings with itself a whole host of risks that are associated with security and privacy. How can you ensure that your AI tool can mitigate the risks associated with data breaches and manipulation, much like the $1 car that the person in California was able to buy? Okay? And so this is where Cisco customer experience can come in and help. And what gives us the right to say that? Well, we have, for one, 30 years of experience in planning, designing, operating, and maintaining some of the most complex IT environments for the largest companies across the world. So we bring that expertise and that experience to bear for you. And with that expertise and experience, we've been also able to develop intellectual property, assets, automation tools, tools that can help you crunch the time it takes to deploy a certain solution. And I'll give you an example of that a little later on. And tools that can help analyze telemetry from your environment, which can predict when you might hit a failure, so that we can proactively alert you and help you take steps to mitigate it even before it happens. We can engage with you throughout the life cycle of your project, starting from initial days, where we can guide you with your advisory services, but also take that to planning, designing, implementation, operation, monitoring, and adoption of your tool as well, and even optimization as you get into operating your tool. And lastly, we will align our KPIs to your business goal to ensure that we are moving in the same direction and are focused on the same thing, which is how do we achieve your business goals, the outcomes that you seek, in the shortest possible time. So let's apply how Cisco customer experience offers would help us in the case that we saw, which is the AI project for an enterprise. In the initial days, we would have advisory services that would come in and help you with selecting your use case and helping you decide which is the most impactful one for the outcome that you need. As you get into starting to plan your deployment, we can even start to help you think about what should be your data strategy. What kind of data do you have? How can you make it ready what kind of data can we bring in? Can our experience and our expertise help you? Can our intellectual property help you? Can our best practices help you? We can help you plan that infrastructure that you need, both for training or for inferencing. We can help you design it and deploy it effectively. And as you take this into production, we can also help you implement new policies, new guardrails, new systems to secure and make your AI implementation robust, right? But it's not just about AI projects. End-to-end, if you're trying to migrate a complex data center project, or if you're undertaking a multi-year network transformation journey, or if you're even trying to implement a new cybersecurity control, Cisco CX can provide you with that faster path to value with lesser risks. So now let's take very quickly a couple of examples of how we've been able to do this for customers around the world. New York City Hospitals is a public healthcare service that treats the citizens of New York City. They depend on Cisco infrastructure to be able to help their 40,000 employees deliver that healthcare to their patients. Over the last 2 years, we've helped them migrate 2 of their data centers, which were running critical Medicare applications, to new locations. We've been able to do that with minimal disruption to their operations. And now, as medical technologies start to evolve, potentially with the introduction of AI for better diagnosis and better treatment, we're helping them evolve their infrastructure to be ready for what is next. The second example I'll give you is from this region, ANZ Bank. Most of you probably know ANZ Bank. They're one of the largest banks in Australia. They serve over 8 million customers, and they operate in about 30 different countries. In Australia alone, they have over 430 branches. A little while ago, ANZ Bank, unfortunately, suffered a series of incidents. And this impacted their clients' ability to access their services. Based on that, they decided that they need to undertake an infrastructure transformation project. They engaged Cisco CX and gave us a deadline. We partnered with them and laid out a schedule for 12 months. They had to get that transformation project done within 12 months. We came in with our tools and our automation such that we were able to reduce the time it takes to turn up one branch from 8 hours down to 1 hour. With the result that we were able to finish that project within 8 months instead of 12 months, a full 4 months ahead of schedule. And today, we're helping them optimize their configurations, streamline their operational processes, and also support them with change windows and maintenance windows and the like. Eventually, all of this has now resulted in better uptimes for their systems and a better experience for their clients. So, throughout the day, as you start to go into the breakouts, and you'll hear about AI-ready data centers, the future-proof workplaces, and our ability to provide you with digital resilience that form the One Cisco portfolio. Remember that Cisco CX, powered by Cisco AI, can help you get to your outcomes faster. Right? So with that, I'd like to invite on stage the next speaker, Kim Yu-won, who is the CEO of Naver Cloud, and he's going to talk about the AI solutions that Naver Cloud has developed and how they're making an impact on countries and their customers. Thank you.